You may know Christopher Nolan from mind-bending classics like Inception, Interstellar, and The Dark Knight. But now he's back with a gripping new masterpiece, Oppenheimer. Released in July, this biographical thriller delves deep into the enigmatic life of American physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, who led the Manhattan Project during World War II. Nolan's signature storytelling prowess takes you on an electrifying journey through the complexities of science, morality, and espionage, making history come alive like never before. Welcome to Galore Techs. Today, we're looking deep into what technology has gone into making the exceptionally well-made film, Oppenheimer. First things first, Christopher Nolan always wanted to make a film about J. Robert Oppenheimer, even before reading American Prometheus, a book about the triumph and tragedy of Dr. Oppenheimer's life. When he started working on the movie, he didn't know much about Oppenheimer or the Manhattan Project. Actor Robert Pattinson, who worked with him on Tenet in 2020, gave him a book of Oppenheimer's speeches, which sparked his interest. To write the screenplay, Nolan did a lot of research. He even visited the Los Alamos History Museum in New Mexico, which showcases the history and artifacts related to the Manhattan Project several times, unannounced, to get the true sense of it. As he learned more, Nolan began to see Oppenheimer as the most important person in history because of the potentially catastrophic impact of the Trinity test. He took the roles of both writer and director for this World War II biographic, with the talented Cillian Murphy to take on the starring role. Universal Pictures, recognizing the potential of this cinematic endeavor, stepped in to finance and distribute it, and the movie's pre-production journey commenced in the captivating landscapes of New Mexico. Now, despite a limited budget of $100 million, the dedicated cast and crew pulled off an incredible feat, completing the entire shooting schedule in just 55 days. The result? A box office sensation, as the film's stellar ensemble and Nolan's storytelling prowess propelled it to an astonishing $853 million in revenue. But let's dive in deep now. Christopher Nolan is known for his preference for practical effects over excessive CGI in the films. He often strives to create a sense of realism and tangible physicality in his work. This dedication to practical filmmaking techniques sets him apart in an industry where CGI often dominates visual effects. The visual craftsmanship behind Oppenheimer reached new heights through its innovative camera techniques. The movie harnessed the power of IMAX technology, employing a combination of IMAX 65mm and 65mm large format film to capture all of its intricate details. Oppenheimer also made history because it is the first film ever to introduce sections shot on IMAX black and white photographic film, a specialized medium crafted by Kodak and refined by Photochem exclusively for this project. Cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema skillfully wielded 50mm and 80mm Hasselblad lenses while operating an IMAX Mark IV or IMAX MSM 9802 cameras. This approach ensured an intimate and immersive perspective, especially during close-up shots that looked absolutely amazing on the big screen. IMAX movies are generally printed on 7mm film, giving them a wider and taller aspect ratio when projected on a big screen rather than the typical 35mm film. Some scenes shot on Panavision Panaflex System 65 studio cameras utilized Panavision Sphero 65 and Panavision System 65 lenses, which add versatility to the visual narrative. To capture the film's effects with precision, Panavision even custom-built a probe lens, enabling the filmmakers to employ IMAX cameras for macro photography, which involves capturing close-up shots of objects in high levels of detail. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the iconic Trinity nuclear test in the movie. Now, Nolan had the vision to make the test really look as real as possible without using computer tricks. His fans even wondered if the explosion in the movie was actually going to happen in real life, which made Nolan feel both flattered and unnerved. Nolan collaborated closely with special effects supervisor Scott Fisher and visual effects supervisor Andrew Jackson to orchestrate the sequence. Although no CGI was used, the team did do some very large explosions on set, but none of them were anywhere near the scale of an actual nuclear explosion. The key was to preserve the quality of the film stock and the high resolution that IMAX gives, which, according to Van Hoytena, is half lost when you go to VFX and scan it. The team used an old movie-making trick called forced perspective, which involves cleverly manipulating the size and distance of objects to create the optical illusions, making them appear larger or smaller than they actually are. Practical methods were employed to visualize intricate scientific concepts like the interactions between atoms, molecules, and energy waves, as well as the depiction of celestial phenomena such as stars, black holes, and supernovas in the movie. Even though the actual thing was on a small scale, it was filmed so close that it looked larger than life and convincingly realistic. Van Hoytema said that they literally created science experiments by building whole aquariums with power in them, It was like a huge playground. They dropped silver particles in it, molded metallic balloons that were lit up from the inside, slammed things into each other as ping pong balls, or just objects spinning. They also used long and short shutter speeds, wide negative color, negative overexposure, and even underexposure. Another fascinating thing in the movie was the bright flash and the vibrant red plumes that followed the explosion of that scale. So how did that happen if there was no big scale explosion at all? Well, the film's visual effects supervisor was the mastermind behind this movie's magic. A special set was built just for the scene, where they mixed together gasoline, propane, black powder, aluminum powder, and magnesium flares to make up a blend of chemicals that imitated the bright flash and fiery red plumes that you'd see in a real atomic blast. But the work didn't stop there. After they filmed the explosion, they got busy in the editing room. They took all the frames shot and layered them on top of each other. Now, this tricky process made the explosion look just like the real deal, with all of its terrifying and uncomfortable power. Nolan actually intended to show just how scary an atomic bomb can be. That's why he made sure it looked as terrifyingly real and uncomfortable as possible. To blend things seamlessly, lighting plays a crucial role. Van Hoytema employed a combination of classic techniques and modern equipment to achieve the desired visual impact. Using cranes and dollies to move the camera, he even shouldered the weighty 50-pound IMAX camera for handheld shots, ensuring a dynamic perspective. They embraced the warm glow of old-fashioned tungsten lights while working with lighting equipment like 18K Aramax HMIs, complemented by contemporary fixtures like the ARRI sky panels. In the Room 2021 hearing sequence, they didn't use any artificial light at all and worked with all the natural light coming in from the windows as they followed the color of real daylight, matching perfectly with the ambient light. It's pretty fascinating, right? But VFX had a critical role to play in enhancing the storytelling without overwhelming the practical elements. GtE&x, as the film's sole VFX partner, made just 100 VFX shots drawn from over 400 practical elements that were all filmed on set. These VFX were strategically utilized in some of the movie's most crucial and explosive sequences, seamlessly blending with the practical footage. Comparing Oppenheimer to other films like Top Gun: Maverick, where over 2,000 VFX shots were employed, having just one of them is a feat in itself. Nolan has consistently strived to minimize the reliance on VFX in his films, emphasizing the practical effects whenever possible. The movie is a whole cinematic journey, clocking in at a hefty 3 hours, not to mention how fast-paced it is. Even the 70mm reel of film weighs 600 pounds, which is about 11 miles long. Now, it may seem an awful long time to sit and watch a movie in a theater, but the film kept the audience glued to their seats as they saw the story panning out on the big IMAX screens. The immersive experience and brilliant acting from some of the industry's biggest stars, combined with Christopher Nolan's storytelling, filled each second with intrigue, tension, and visual splendor. Plus, the amazing production team that came together to create this amazing movie resulted in something that will be talked about for a very long time to come. Are you a Christopher Nolan fan, and did you think Oppenheimer is his best film yet? Tell us in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting Galore text videos. Thanks for watching.